carbon fiber, polypropylene, titanium, aluminum, Kevlar, copper spun ceramic metal, maybe even plutonium, I don't know. Speakers are made out of all kinds of different materials these days. But you know what? I'm a simple man. I drive a simple van. Sometimes I just need a little bit of silk and some paper. Hi, I'm Bob, and you are in the United States of Analog. Thanks for being here again, and thanks to everybody for leaving their locations, where they're watching from, in the comments. I'm actually dropping pins in a Google map. I'm tracking you. I've got my eyes on you, and I got to tell you what, I got to give you some inside baseball. The Netherlands, crushing it. More viewers from the Netherlands weighing in on my channel than any other country outside of the United States. Everywhere, your support is appreciated. And speaking of support, I want to thank Randy, the Cheap Audio Man, for collabing with me a little bit and helping me grow my channel. I think he sees things in me that I don't even see in myself, and I appreciate that. Randy is a solid dude, and he deserves your undivided attention and loyalty, okay? Solid dude. Now, at the United States of Analog, we like to have fun, all right? We don't take audio too serious, okay? We don't talk about a lot of numbers, and we don't get out the scientific instruments. What we do get out are two almost good ears and some equipment, and see if we can harness the healing powers of music in some way, in some emotional way that gets to us, that makes us stop everything that we're doing and enjoy the music. And I have something fun for you today, speaking of fun. The HECO Aurora 300 bookshelf speaker. Now, I know this speaker has been out for a minute, but it's new to me. I didn't even know much about HECO until just a few weeks ago. And it's surprising because they've been around since 1949. Never heard of HECO before. It was not on my radar. But it's a German brand. Their stuff is designed and engineered in Germany and built somewhere in Asia. And I wanted to show you this speaker. I got a smoking deal on these demos from Audio Advice. This is not a sponsorship, but I happened to see these online. $125 for this used kind of demo pair, and not too much cosmetically wrong with them at all. I don't know if white would always be my first option, but it looks rather smart here. And we're going to evaluate this speaker today, have some fun with it, plug it in, play around with it, and we're gonna take a three-prong attack like we always do. We're going to talk about form factor and features. Then we're going to talk about performance and the components and how they're working, and then we're going to talk about whether it's a keeper or not, whether it's something we want to have around the house, whether it's right for you, whether it's right for me. All right, let's check out the form factor and the features of the Aurora 300. It's a smart looking speaker, I got to tell you. I kind of admired it when I saw it on the internet and pictures. I thought it looked kind of cool, kind of that, nice cross between vintage, like even mid-century modern almost to modern. And first of all, we have this silk lacquer waterfall. I call this a waterfall, almost like a kitchen cabinet. I've never compared a speaker to a kitchen cabinet before, but it's got this nice lacquer waterfall here at the top and the front faceplate. Then you got this nice element here, this nice design element, this indent that separates the lacquer from the vinyl wrap picture of wood here. But actually, it looks pretty good. This comes in ivory, and it comes also in a black ebony version, as it's called. So some of the other features include some nice metal accents, like this Aurora nameplate here. You've got a HECO nameplate there. The back has a little bit of metal trim. I'm going to show you that in more detail in a second. Binding posts are beautiful. HECO is embossed in both of those metal pieces, the plate behind the terminals and also the little ring that goes around the port, which, are all nice touches that they really don't have to do in an under $500 price point. So the finish out is nice, even though this is vinyl. Yeah, I think this is a real looker at this price, and I have it upstairs on my solid steel stands in my main listening area. I've got it plugged in to my NAD C3050 digital. Yes, I know we're in the United States of analog, but my digital NAD 100 watt per channel amplifier, and just connected a Wiim mini streamer to it. Sometimes I plugged in my Studio Deck MoFi turntable, which I use the internal preamp to the NAD, and everything sounded good. Let me tell you a little more about the 300 as we take a closer look at it. The woofer, 5.5-inch long fiber craft paper, constructed of Nordic pine and German wool. Man, I'd like to get that in a scented candle. The tweeter is a Fluctus tweeter. It is 28 millimeters or 1-inch silk fabric dome with a computer designed waveguide for perfect dispersion. That's right out of the brochure. Waveguides. Everybody's talking about waveguides. You know, I'd like to sit in on a waveguide meeting with a bunch of audio engineers designing waveguides. Actually, that sounds like that would be pretty boring. I think I'll be a hard pass on that now that I think about it. The port is 2 inches wide, and then it flares out to 3 inches, out to like a plastic bell trimmed in metal. The cabinet, ivory white, ebony black, as I mentioned. 13 3/4 high, 11 3/4 deep, and 7 3/4 wide. 4 to 8 ohms, freak response, 32 to 42.5 kilohertz. That's a kind of a brag. Recommended amplifiers are 20 to 150 watts. All right, that's the tail of the tape. Let's talk a little bit about the performance connected into my system. I did not connect it to everything. I did not compare it to a whole lot of other speakers. I'll tell you right off the bat, though, that I preferred the Aurora 300. Oh boy, I'm going to get some mail on this one. I preferred it to my Klipsch Gen 1 600Ms. I preferred it to the LS50 Meta behind me. And you know, this speaker gave me some vintage sound vibes, which I really like. And I attribute that to the paper cone and to the silk tweeter. Takes some of the harshness off of that NAD amplifier. Takes some of that high-end extension off the table that can get annoying, that can get grating and chop your head off. It extends low, 32, I don't know. I don't know if it goes to 32. I don't have the equipment to measure that. I'm going to take the fine folks at HECO to you know, at their word. Yeah, this speaker is a joy to listen to in that I can listen to it for a long period of time. I don't feel like I'm missing a whole lot of the highs. I can tell you that the high end is present. It's comfortable. It's not super revealing. Again, enabling you to listen to the music that you love for a longer period of time. The paper cone gives me my old JBL L26 vibes. I just love the sound of paper cones. Takes me back to the, you know, origins of hi-fi in the 60s and 70s. And it does a spectacular job here with a vintage kind of sound. You know, I was thinking that many reviewers that I watch, okay? I'm a fan, all right? I watch a lot of them. And we can get kind of caught up in describing the perfect sound, the absolute sound, as it were. And things like high frequency extension and perfect transparency and looking through a window. It's like the speaker is like looking through a window. You know what? I don't want to look through a window at a bad recording. I don't, because here's the thing. Not all recordings are created equal. Not all recording studios are created equal. Same goes for producers, musicians, mastering engineers, pressing plants. It's all a big variable. And I like a speaker that gives me all the stuff that I want, all that good information, and leaves some of the bad information behind. I don't want to hear the edits in a Jimmy Page guitar solo on a Led Zeppelin record. I don't want to hear recording mistakes or bad mastering. I don't want to hear that. I just want to listen to music for long periods of time and enjoy the good stuff, like the Beatles. The reason they're so listenable is because they didn't get into a whole lot of technology. Yeah, they were super innovative in the studio, but at the end of the day, we're talking about 4 tracks, 8 tracks. Yeah, they can be a little noisy, and sometimes that comes through. But the simplicity of what they did just makes the music come to the forefront. And so what I love about this speaker, what I love about this woofer and this tweeter is just, I don't even want to say neutrality of it, because it's not neutral. It has its own voice, but it's a good voice. And it's a solid voice, and it's an enjoyable voice that you want to listen to over and over again. I have not taken this speaker out of my chain in 2 weeks. I find new things to like about it all the time, and I have to remind myself that it's a $300, $400, maybe just sub $500 speaker, depending on what kind of deal you can make. So one of the things that the Aurora 300 does is what I call a magic trick. Right? It's one of the magic tricks of hi-fi, of audio. And that's depth, okay? You don't get it very often in a $300, $400 speaker. You don't get it. You get it in really expensive speakers, like a big set of Focal Utopias or whatever. You get that. But when I can get it in my home, even if it's just a little bit, even if it's just a couple feet behind the speakers, I love that. I love that. I consider that the best magic trick in audio. That dome of sound that starts at each end, at each speaker, and then just kind of goes behind to your front wall. And the vocals especially are recessed a little bit, not too forward, not in your face. You don't have to know what the vocalist had for lunch, right? You want it recessed a little bit. You want some of the instrument placement to be recessed. It's this kind of this dome that just goes behind the speakers. This does that. $100,000 Focals do that. It's a scalable thing. Don't get me wrong. This doesn't sound like, a $100,000 pair of Focals. It does not. It doesn't even sound like my Klipsch Fortes. But it's got essence of that. It has the essence of that sound. And I just think that's one of the coolest things in all of audio. Yeah, there's height and there's separation and there's, all kinds of different measurements that you can make with speakers. But when you get that depth, I think you've got something special in a speaker, and the HECO does it. It gives it to you. It gives it to you at a low price, at a nice price. So weigh in the comments below. What do you think of this speaker? Do you want a speaker that tells you everything, shows you everything, shows you how the sausage is made? Or do you want a speaker that is kind of laid back and chill, what I call a Sunday morning kind of speaker? You can listen all day. Are you into exotic materials in your woofer, in your tweeter? Let me know what you like below. I'm interested. I like speakers like this. I like speakers like my Klipsch Forte. I like speakers like my old JBL L26s, paper cones. Yeah, I can't say this enough. I enjoy these speakers. I enjoy looking at them. I enjoy listening to them. I think there's some very kind of high-end kind of design elements that they didn't have to do, but I think that's part of the German design. I think that's what German design is known for, just that little extra design push, but nice metallic accents, nice components, solid. Is it resonant? Yeah, it's a little resonant. Guess what? Your ears are resonant. Your room is resonant. Life is resonant. Everything's got resonation. I'm not too concerned about that. Could use a little more bracing. But you know what? It sounds natural, sounds organic, sounds rock and roll. It'll kick you in the chest. Add a subwoofer, but you don't need one. It goes pretty low. I don't know about 32, but it goes pretty low. Who is the 300 for? Well, I think it's for anyone that is looking for a solid performer they can listen to all day in the under $400, the crowded under $400 price category that still wants some nice finish and design aesthetic and German engineering for under 400 bucks. Very nice. A lot of speakers in that category can't accomplish what this does in the looks and aesthetics department. I used it in all kinds of situations, from being the front speakers in an Atmos setup to a home theater setup to listening to vinyl, listening to digital content, streaming, it works. I mean, that's the best recommendation I can give for it, is that it works. It doesn't get in your way. You know, I read recently that guitar amplifiers, most of them anyway, still use paper cones, like the 300 here. And maybe that's why I got that kind of rock and roll vibe from this speaker. That punchy, warm rock and roll vibe, like an old friend. Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with the construction, the materials that they use, the paper, the silk, as I mentioned. Great for a bedroom, small listening area, home theater, surround speakers, anything like that. You're good to go. Maybe a little big for a desktop, but I think you'll find a lot of great uses for the Aurora 300. That's it. That's my quick look. I hope it's quick at the Aurora 300. It's from HECO. It's designed in Germany, engineered in Germany, built in Asia. Order a set for yourself. I got the link right here. And then join me next time in the United States of Analog. Let me tell you a little more of the 300. Let me tell you a little more about the 300. Let me tell you a little more about the 300. Now here's the girl.